Great God of the universe, aka that created the world, the benevolent God of our ancestors, land of the rising sun. We have gathered again in great numbers today, for a toad does not run in the daylight for nothing. If one sees a toad running in broad daylight, let it be known that something is after its life. Great deluge have assembled against us and must be scattered by a divine tempest sent by you. King that lives above, sweep away not only their shadows, but also their footprints. We have not risen against man or woman. It is you that gave us this land for our refuge. God the Creator, open our ears and our mind to perceive what we will hear today. You are the one that have given us life. Now give us what we use to sustain it. Give us a kingdom with great wisdom and an abundant freedom. It is said that a visitor must not overshadow his host, but when going, may he not depart with a protruding back. The little Ekwe have started at peeling the Ikoro, the great wooden gong. We are experiencing darkness in broad daylight. Please help us to uproot all the nefarious weeds from the length and breadth of our land. Let the kite perch, and let the egret perch, and let the eagle perch. A church should not be overpowered for what God has given to him. Guide and accompany us as we proceed on this our journey, for we are banking on your strength to reach to this our destination. So whoever positions himself before his personal God, may he run himself to exhaustion. Peace must reign in our land. May your will prevail, and let all be according to your will. He said,
This is Rosama. As we prepare to end this year, we wish to use this opportunity to thank the leadership of Biafra Government in Exile, BGIE, who sponsors our program, our technical support staff, and our contributors, as well as those who have granted us access to themselves through interviews and opinion pieces. We also thank our listeners who have stayed with us throughout this year, believing that we have something important to offer. We hope that you, our listeners, have appreciated what we've offered. We also hope that you will return next year and bring others with you. BCB is supported by a very small team of dedicated individuals who believe that a struggle for Biafran freedom is necessary, because we cannot remain silent while our people are being abducted, dehumanized, massacred, or disappeared. BCB does not support any form of violence, whether directed at us or against any other group. As such, we have spoken against violence in Biafra and in Nigeria in general. We have protested the genocidal war being waged against Biafrans and other ethnic groups in Nigeria. We have called for accountability from the leadership of our various states and of that nation in general. We now call our people to put an end to the violence which they are now directing against our own people. This violence gains us no peace, freedom, or security. We ask only that Biafrans be granted the same freedom and rights accorded to all human beings under the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights and all Africans under the African Charter. We demand that the federal government of Nigeria, which continues to insist on Biafrans remaining in Nigeria, begin by acknowledging our human rights and dignity, our right to justice and protection of the law, and our rights to self-determination. We demand the same rights the federal government guarantees the Hausa Fulani and their murderous, marauding herdsmen. We demand not to be massacred in our sleep. We demand that our daughters, sisters, and mothers are not raped. We demand that our youth are not killed before they grow up. We demand nothing but freedom, peace, justice, and security. Fellow Biafrans, let's get wiser. This is Rosama, and this is BCB. This is Rosama, and this is BCB. The agitation for Biafra's freedom did not begin today and may not end today. Like the Israelites, whom a lot of Biafrans tend to invoke and who wandered through the desert for 40 years, we are wandering through our own desert. Will it take 40 years? More, perhaps. More than 50 years after the Biafra War of Separation, and despite Nigeria's promise to work towards peace, the attainment of peace and equality for our people remains an illusion. Fellow Biafrans, we now come to the end of our program for this year. It has not been an easy task to cover Biafra's struggle for freedom and survival, and to serve as witness to the continued saga of Biafra's search for peace and autonomy. Our collective journey has not been easy either, but we must do it. We must undertake it. Biafra, therefore, must serve. BCB, therefore, must serve. And here is a special announcement from the leadership of Biafra government in exile.
We have come a long way in our history as a people. There has been good times and there has been bad times. We have in so many situations which is capable of defeating any people come out on the other side, better, stronger, and more determined to achieve our individual and collective purpose on earth, according to the grace given to each one and the divine blessings deposited upon our land by our Creator, the Almighty God. As we come to the end of this year, and as we celebrate Christmas, let me wish you all the peace of God which passes all understanding, to keep you strong in your hearts and minds, and to bring you joy and goodwill, you and your families, friends, and loved ones. With this joy of Christmas in our hearts, let our hopes of freedom, of security, development, fulfillment be renewed. May the light of God, through the birth of His Son, lead us through our journey in our struggle for freedom and liberty. May we keep our eyes firmly on the objective, rejecting everything that is evil. I urge every one of us, all Biafrans, home and abroad, in this period of peace and joy, to once again reject violence and embrace peace and love, even the love of our enemies. We pray for all our brothers and sisters who are detained unjustly by the Nigerian security forces, just because they stand for freedom and they stand for self-determination. We also remember those that paid the ultimate price, fighting for the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra. May their sacrifice never be in vain, and may their souls continue to rest in peace. Our message is beginning to cut across, is beginning to resonate. We are resolute in our belief in Biafra restoration, and we believe that our faith is strong, because what we are fighting for is just, it is fair, it is noble, and it is the right thing to do. We shall continue to engage all and sundry through peaceful negotiations, through retreats, through debates and dialogues. Therefore, as you celebrate, as you see your loved ones and friends this Christmas and New Year, be vigilant but do not fear. Look after and care for each other. Share with each other, especially those who have very little or nothing. Let that our community spirit come forth. That spirit of Onyagala, let it come to life this Christmas period. Those committing crimes of kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, and other heinous crimes must stop doing so now. Our land is a holy land, and shedding of innocent blood must stop. Finally, we call on Nigerian government to allow Biafrans a vote on independence, a referendum for our people to decide for themselves where they want to belong and how they want to be governed. We call on the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, and the DSS to release all Biafrans in their custody and end the harassment, torture, detention, and killing of Biafrans who are agitating peacefully for self-determination. Biafra government in exile will continue to shine the light to let the world know that even though Biafra lost a war, the nation did not die. The nation will one day rise again and take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. This is our hope and this is our dream. May God bless you. May God bless the state of Biafra. I wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
The year 2021 draws to an end. The year 2021 has not been a good year for the struggle. It has not been a year that one will remember with nostalgia. It has been a year that is eventful. It has been a year of confusion and freewheeling. 2021 has been a turbulent year for all the agitators for Biafra. It is a year when Nnamdi Kanu was rearrested and brought back to Nigeria from an undisclosed location. A year when the Biafran region has been in a boil due to the successful action emanating from the arrest of Kanu. The name indigenous people of Biafra have received a lot of battering. The elders who championed the emergence of such a body could now hardly recognize what it has become. The name now invokes fear and uncertainty and despair. The elders of Biafra, like late Chief Justice Cesar Zobu, and Achuzi and Dr. Kedife and Debo Juku, will today be wrangling in their graves. The name IPOB have received a massive transformation as a result of Nnamdi Kanu. In 2021, the economy of the Southeast have received a heavy blow by the activities of the group that is supposed to be promoting and protecting their well-being. The security of the region have also gone down and life has become cheap. Fear now prevails the land. Traders now operate in fear. Where are those that are supposed to salvage the situation? And where are those that are supposed to do the right thing, turning a blind eye? Why are they aiding and abetting those damaging the image and well-being of the land and the people? Confusion and death now is the order of the day. The people now fear the name IPOB. The people now fear the security forces. The people now fear the unknown. The people now fear to travel. People now fear to bring in goods with the notion that it might not reach its destination. The arrest of Kanu on June 29, 2021 has been a turning point. It has been a hallmark. Since his arrest, discordant voices and actions and mayhem have descended on the land of the rising sun. Those orchestrating it say that it is the only way Nigeria will see that they must do the right thing and that their leader will be given his due freedom. But it is the best way forward. Is it achieving its result? Will it prevail on those holding the joystick to relent? The hatred of the Easterners, mainly Igbos, have not abated since the end of the Civil War. Despite the effort of the Easterners and Biafrans to promote Nigeria in various ways, be it in sports, academics, politics, and many other ways, 2021 has not been a good year. The hatred for the Igbos still lingers and continues to rise. The struggle still remains stagnant because of lack of a clear, well-coordinated and well-driven vision. Massive unemployed youths have swelled the rank of IPOB and have exacerbated the situation. Politicians who have been elevated to a position of authority did not know the true functions of their job. The job of a politician is not to collect allocations and siphon such money to foreign lands and embezzle them. It is meant to be used to create jobs and develop the infrastructures of the state. But that has not been the case. The actions of those politicians are the number one reason why nothing is being achieved. The level of corruption is mind-boggling and nothing is being done about it. Those in authorities are turning blind eyes to corruption and they are pretending. We must sit down now to count our teeth with our God-given tongue. We must ask pertinent questions that will bring the desired result so that 2022 will be a different year, so that we will turn a new page. It is not sitting down on a chessboard that will make one to excel in that particular type of game. With high number of pro-Biafran groups and factions, the struggle is in dire strait and confusion have set in to render the land comatose. This is Ikechukwu Ezerora of BCB. Have a wonderful day.
Nani give a kueme, Ikarabine meo, a kueme, Ibu a kueme. Walk Americana boy, Baby, I'll be only one. Walk alone at your way. Papa, Chukwa, 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 Chukwa. Ah, Imeda will be Chukwa. Oh, let's run a matter of Chukwa. Chukwa, Chile, Chile. So give a Chukwa.
See what you've done for me. See how you set me free. You were the living God. There's no one like you. See what you've done for me. See how you delivered me. You were the living God. There's no one like you. There's no one like you. There's no one like you.
This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB News Bulletin. Quote, Anambra 2021 governorship election records historic low voter turnout, unquote, states Premium Times. According to the newspaper, quote, only 10% of registered voters voted, unquote. Despite the supplementary election in Ihiala, LGA. In the end, former central bank governor, Mr. Charles Chukwuma Soludo of APGA was elected into that office. Premium Times indicates that, quote, a survey by SBM Intelligence, a geopolitical research firm, earlier predicted that 60% of registered voters had decided not to participate in the election. Reasons given by some of the respondents include insecurity and lack of trust in the electoral system. Although many people that came out to vote could not do so because of the failure of INEC's BVAS machine, which was meant to accredit registered voters before they are allowed to vote, unquote. The newspaper also noted that the election campaign period was marred by fear of IPOB attacks. It seems abduction of Igbo leaders has become the trend of the day in Igbo land. The Guardian Nigeria reports that on December 9th, gunmen abducted Eze Damian Nwigwe, the traditional ruler of Mbutu, ancient kingdom in Abombise local council of Imo State. According to the newspaper, quote, a community source who pleaded anonymity said the kidnappers, numbering over 10, came with 3 vehicles, barricaded the palace, and shot sporadically in the air before whisking their victim away, unquote. On October 11th, the newspaper also reported that, quote, police spokesman in Imo, CSP Michael Abatam, said in a statement issued in Owerri on Saturday that the traditional leader had been reunited with his family, unquote. It should be noted that 1 month earlier, 3 traditional rulers were killed at Njaba, while the palaces of other monarchs in Ohaji. Shit. This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB News Bulletin. Anambra 2021 governorship election records show historic low voter turnout, states Premium Times. According to the newspaper, quote, only 10% of registered voters voted, unquote, despite the supplementary election in Ihiala LGA. In the end, former central bank governor, Mr. Charles Chukwuma Soludo, APGA, was elected into that office. Premium Times indicates that, quote, a survey by SBM Intelligence, a geopolitical research firm, earlier predicted that 60% of registered voters had decided not to participate in the election. Reasons given by some of the respondents include insecurity and lack of trust in the electoral system. Also, many people that came out to vote could not do so because of the failure of INEC's BVAS machine, which was meant to accredit registered voters before they are allowed to vote, unquote. The newspaper also noted that the election campaign period was marred by fear of IPOB attacks. It seems abduction of Igbo leaders has become the trend of the day in Igbo land. The Guardian Nigeria reports that on December 9th, gunmen abducted Eze Damian Nwigwe, the traditional ruler of Mbutu, ancient kingdom in Abombise local council of Imo State. According to the newspaper, quote, a community source who pleaded anonymity said the kidnappers, numbering over 10, came with 3 vehicles, barricaded the palace and shot sporadically in the air before whisking their victim away, unquote. On December 11, the newspaper reported that, quote, police spokesman in Imo, CSP Michael Abatam, said in a statement issued in Owerri on Saturday that the traditional ruler had been reunited with his family, unquote. It should be noted that 1 month earlier, 3 traditional rulers were killed in Njaba, while the palaces of other monarchs in Ohaji, Ebema, and Oru East local councils were set ablaze by suspected hoodlums. The newspaper also noted that Eze Nwigwe was abducted, quote, a day after the traditional ruler of Ata Autonomous Community in Njaba Council area, Eze Edwin Azike, was kidnapped, unquote. Eze Azike's body was found near the local market square a few days after his abduction. DCB wishes to affirm that we abhor all forms of violence. These acts of violence against our own people will not bring us peace or the freedom we seek. Rather, this violence further divides us by creating distrust and insecurity in our communities. As this year ends, we hope that our people will stop, pause, and re-examine their lives and plan for a better and more united, peaceful tomorrow. Violence is our enemy. In related news, residents of Orsu Ihiteokwa community under Orsu local government area in Imo State have been fleeing from their homes, afraid of being killed by soldiers of the Nigerian army. Sahara Reporters cites a community resident who said, quote, the army is killing Igbos. Let the whole world know about this. A lot of us have fled the community so that we will not be killed by the soldiers. Everybody is afraid, unquote. The article adds, quote, residents further revealed that soldiers were taking away bodies of those killed in trucks in order to conceal the crime, unquote. Readers are reminded that there has been an ongoing conflict between several local communities and the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, supported by the federal government of Nigeria. Orlu has figured prominently in this conflict, a history which Sahara Reporters notes. The newspaper states, quote, earlier in February this year, the Imo State government invited the military to Orsu and Orlu to help chase away suspected members of Eastern Security Network, ESN, said to be a wing of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. According to the state government, the soldiers will help restore sanity to the area and ensure that gunmen don't have a field day anymore, unquote. On December 17th, 2021, the Guardian Nigeria newspaper reported that Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma signed the, quote, Violence Against Persons Prohibition, VAP bill into law following its passage by the 27-member House of Assembly some months earlier, amid objections from some quarters, unquote. The newspaper added that Uzodinma described the occasion as an auspicious one, coming at a time when the girl child and women face a lot of sexual abuse and violent attacks. The law is meant to protect the girl child, the woman, and even men, as well as reduce gender-based violence to the lowest level. BCB commends the governor for signing this important bill to end all forms of violence against women and girls, as well as boys and men. Abia State women protest against the presence of soldiers in Abia community, claiming that their children are afraid to go to school. In late November, hundreds of women in the Ohafia local government area in Abia State took to the streets in protest against the occupation and presence of Nigerian soldiers in their community. They claim that Nigerian soldiers have occupied their community for more than 1 month, consequently preventing their children from attending schools. Sahara Reporters states, quote, in the protest that took place on Wednesday, November 24th, according to a video obtained by Sahara Reporters, the women's grievances are hinged on the fact that the children cannot go to school. They also allege that the soldiers rape women in the community and commit other crimes in the community, unquote. Indeed, as Sahara Reporters observes, quote, in fact, militarization of Igbo community is an obvious case of intimidation by the federal government, adding, you don't observe this in other parts of the country, unquote. We agree with Sahara Reporters' assessment of the federal government's obsession with occupying Igbo land. The continued presence of federal troops in Igbo-dominant states can only be read within the context of occupation, an act of aggression whose purpose is to destabilize Biafra land, particularly the Igbo-dominated areas. Inter-Society accuses Nigerian police, the army, of abducting 10 family members, including underage children, over suspected links to IPOB in Imo State. According to Sahara Reporters, quote, International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law, Inter-Society, has accused the Nigerian Police Intelligence Response Team of planning to assassinate the entire family of Nwachukwu Egole in Olu local government area of Imo State, unquote. The newspaper cites Inter-Society's statement, which reads, quote, the Nigerian government and its security forces have been engaging in mindless ethno-religious profiling and terrorization of citizens subscribing to Sabbath Christian faith and related others in Eastern Nigeria, especially those under the umbrella of the African Instituted Churches. The Inter-Society statement continues. Without provable and indictable pieces of evidence, the security forces, including police IRT, RRS, and others, and soldiers of the Nigerian Armed Forces and their joint forces under special forces, as well as operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, have been going about in frenzy, abducting members and leaders of the faith, destroying their properties, including homes, sacred places of worship, and livelihoods, and killing them at will after being taken into custody or at the point of their arrest or abduction, unquote. The article by Sahara Reporters provides readers with the names of members of the Egole family who have been either murdered or abducted, or who are still in hiding. This state-sanctioned violence is symptomatic of the daily experiences of citizens of various communities in the Igbo-dominated parts of Biafra land. Clearly, Imo State has become the battleground for the federal government's project to dismantle Biafra, and more specifically, Alandi Igbo. Nigerian Vanguard reports that on Friday, December 17th, the Ohaneze Ndi Igbo worldwide reiterated its position that the next president of Nigeria will be of Igbo extraction to heal the country, but claimed that, quote, the insecurity currently facing the southeast region of the country was politically orchestrated, unquote. According to the newspaper, quote, the president of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, George Obiuzo, disclosed this to newsmen in Owerri as part of his Christmas message to the Southeast and Nigerians at large, unquote. In addition, Obiuzo stated that, quote, insecurity will not be an excuse to deny the presidency of Nigeria to the Southeast in 2023, unquote. He continued, quote, we seek peace, but not the peace of the graveyard. We seek justice because we know that throughout history, those denied justice have had no interest in peace. Today, Nigeria, president of Igbo extraction, is imperative and an idea whose time has come. Our history and political reality in our country make it a national necessity that is anchored on equality, justice, and fairness, unquote. While Ohaneze still believes in the possibility of a peaceful, united Nigeria where an Igbo presidency is possible, many of us are not so optimistic that the federal government and the rest of Nigeria will act in good faith and allow the attainment of Ohaneze's dream. The continued aggression directed at Igbo-dominated homelands and the abduction, disappearance, and massacre of our youth, rape of our women, as well as the wanton destruction of our homes and properties suggest a war of aggression sanctioned by the federal government and enabled by Nigerians who have remained silent. These actions have not ensured our security, not the security of Igbo land, not the security of Biafra, and they do not build peace. In other news, the Federal High Court in Awka, Anambra State, has awarded 52 million naira as damages against the police and Nigerian army for invading the home of Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, lead counsel for Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. As reported by Premium Times Nigeria, quote, in the statement entitled "Justice Delayed is Not Always Justice Denied," the lawyer explained that his house was, on December 2nd, 2019, invaded during the burial of his elder brother, Chukwukbelum Ejiofor, by a team of security agents comprising the Nigerian police and army. The lawyer revealed that 4 persons were killed in his compound and all the houses within his ancestral home, including his brothers and neighboring houses, were razed down, unquote. In an editorial piece, The Guardian Nigeria criticized ongoing efforts by the National Population Commission, NPC, toward conducting a census for the country next year. According to the editorial, this census, quote, cannot be more untimely and inappropriate, being so close to the next general election and at a time of critical security challenges afflicting practically the entire country. These factors will undoubtedly affect the census's outcome adversely. Even by its own admission, the NPC's pre-census tests being conducted in parts of the country are being hampered by severe security challenges in some states, unquote. The editorial continues, quote, The truth, however, is that the actual insecurity in the land is far worse than the picture of insecurity painted by NPC. And given also the pitiable financial state of the country, it is time the Commission explores other avenues outside census to carry out its duty of projecting Nigeria's population to enhance its planning and development, unquote. The newspaper also recognizes the potential for political exploitation of the elections. As such, the editorial states, quote, besides the potential of political hijacking of the head count, is still rife, as census figures are used for revenue sharing and to claim regional superiority. The 2023 elections provide ready opportunity for such dubious intention. And so, from all calculations, a census now will lack credibility while consuming huge financial and other resources now highly prized in the country, unquote. The Nigerian Customs Services, NCS, has intercepted a container load of arms and ammunition at Tinkan Island Port, Apapa, Lagos. The ammunitions were falsely declared as plasma televisions, but upon critical examination, the containers were discovered to be loaded with arms and ammunition. COVID-19 numbers are rising in Nigeria. According to Channels Radio, quote, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has reported 1,584 new infections as the country's daily COVID tally continues to rise, unquote. Channel Radio further reports that the agency's, quote, the agency's Facebook post on Saturday has confirmed new cases in 10 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Data from NCDC revealed that the figure reported on Friday is the highest number of cases to be recorded in the last 10 months, unquote. Jailbreak epidemic hits Nigeria's overcrowded prisons. According to Al Jazeera, quote, more than 7,000 people have escaped from several prisons since 2010, with 8 jailbreaks taking place in the past 14 months alone, unquote. The figure, says the news agency, quote, amounts to 1/10 of the total official number of those currently in custody nationwide, unquote. The news agency continues, quote, in the past 14 months alone, there have been 8 successive jailbreaks, more than double the number of such incidents in the previous 3 years. This figure does not include riots, foiled prison break attempts, or clashes between armed non-state actors and law enforcement at police stations to forcefully release detained suspects. Last month, security operatives foiled a bizarre attempt by criminals seeking to hijack a suspect from the Lagos court building where he was standing trial, unquote. On another story, a piece by Al Jazeera titled Horrors on the Plateau Inside Nigeria's Farmer-Herder Conflict states, quote, the violence in central Nigeria is now one of the country's deadliest security threats after Boko Haram in the northeast and banditry in the northwest, unquote. Plateau State is home to about 40 ethnic groups and has been a hotbed of conflict between local farmers who are predominantly Christian and predominantly Muslim Fulani cattle herders. Tracing the history of the conflicts from 2001 to the present, and supported by surveys as well as interviews with affected persons, the report underscores the damages to human life in addition to the loss of property and resulting trauma on both sides. The report also highlights that 300,000 people have been displaced, stating, quote, in the years since 2001, the intercommunal conflict in Plateau has become a recurring problem. A Nigerian government investigative committee found that between September 2001 and May 2004, it resulted in the deaths of more than 53,000 people. Between 2001 and 2018, about 60,000 people were killed and more than 300,000 displaced across 4 Nigerian states due to the farmer-herder conflict. According to a survey conducted by development and policy advocacy firm Zinaria Consult, with support from Global Rights and Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA, unquote. While we at BCB believe that all citizens have human rights, the conflicts expose the failure of the federal government of Nigeria to adequately address this problem through a policy that recognizes the rights of everyone and seeks equity and justice for all. Buhari has consistently advocated open grazing, and the government's Ruga or Fulani resettlement policy did not help to reduce conflicts within communities. If anything, many groups saw Ruga as the Fulanization of their communities because it empowered the Fulani, who armed themselves with guns and machete and rampaged their neighbors or the communities that they invaded. These acts of violence have been repeated across the nation as Buhari watched, forcing local community youth in some areas to arm and defend their homes, while other residents were forced to flee in other areas. Consequently, we have an increasing number of displaced peoples. It is no wonder, therefore, that the report which Al Jazeera cites estimates that more than 300,000 people have been displaced by these conflicts with Fulani herders across 4 Nigerian states. This number is only an estimate. What does the reality look like? What about the numbers from other states across the Southeast, the East, West, and Southwest? Shouldn't we be concerned? Shouldn't we then ask, whose rights is the Nigerian federal government protecting? The rights of cows or those of human beings? My people, let's get wiser. Let's get wiser. We cannot end this news bulletin without recalling that Nnamdi Kanu, leader of IPOB, is still in captivity, having been abducted from Kenya and returned to Nigeria on June 29, 2021. Kanu, who has been in prison since his abduction, has been denied his human rights. His lawyers have frequently complained that they have not often been granted access to their client and that their client has been denied proper living conditions and medical attention. All rights guaranteed under the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights and the African Charter. Kanu's trial has been recently adjourned till January 19th and 20th, 2022, after his lawyer walked out in protest against the refusal by security agents to allow access to the courtroom to other members of his team. Al Jazeera states, the lawyer's comment, quote, "I have not seen such a travesty of justice," lawyer Ifeanyi Ejiofor told reporters outside the courtroom. Kanu's US-based lawyer, Bruce Feinstein, who was also one of those denied entry, stated, quote, "If you are accused of a crime, you have the right to counsel. And he has been denied access to me 5 times. Adding, the judiciary could not be trusted, unquote. Indeed, as many of our people know, Nigerian judiciary cannot be trusted. Nigerian justice system is no justice. This ends our news bulletin. My people, happy holidays. May you have peace. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB. And I am Rose Ama.
This is a cautionary message to all Biafrans of the impending war by Mazi Odogu, titled The War Next Time. The war next time will be a walkover for the Fulani North. How reasoning adults sit and think that how it was in 1967 will be attempted with failure in 2022 beggars the imagination. Thinking that the same coalition of North, Middle Belts, and Yoruba West that beat Biafra to a stupor is impossible in 2022 is wisdom. But is that what their new war strategy is about? Definitely not. The Fulani North does not need any of these coalition partners. An already intimidated Yoruba West is not useful in the next war. The Middle Belt has already been completely conquered, and their land made a staging post for the next war. No, that 1967 coalition is not the new strategy. Since 1970, the new war has been planned and perfected. Peacefully penetrate their lands and implant cells, armed cells. Open all borders to their hordes, armed to teeth and seasoned in war. They are already in their millions and well embedded. They are wondering why the command has not yet been given, and so they keep busy with preying on all and honing their skills. You call it banditry. Boronu has been long taken. Yobe is their surrogate state. They occupy the Nasarawa wastelands. Gombe has been quieted into timidity by them. Northern Adamawa is theirs. Zamfara is their western capital. Niger State is currently ruled by them. Southern Kaduna long disappeared with a trail of blood. Kogi State, land of fundamentalists, is primed to welcome them. Yes, they need no coalition. What they await for is the return from Hydra of their leader, and they will march south in a well-coordinated body. What will stand in their face and firepower? An already defeated and devastated army? At the first shot, the army will collapse and take flight. What will stand before you in defense? Nothing, absolutely nothing. They are well motivated by the promised loot of man, woman, and all the wealth you have acquired. The entire Islamic world will support their final push as they did in 1967. Arms and all necessary resources will be provided as they have always done in wars involving Islamic expansion and consolidation. As in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, and the rest of East Africa, the world will stand and look the other way, hoping the killings be fast and quick. Their oil and mineral wealth will be re-guaranteed and life goes on. You cannot do anything about it. Your Igbo presidency may as well be the last trigger they require. Common sense.
Here comes the time we've been waiting all these years. Here comes the moment my people are waiting to come back home. When people of Jah will return to their promised land. When people of Mosiah we dance to the rising sun. When people of Jah will sing the song of freedom. When people of Jah will worship Almighty God. We will say bye-bye to the baboon nation. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. And we will say bye-bye to the monkey nation. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. And we will say bye-bye to the lawless nation. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. And we will say bye-bye to the Babylonians. We must go. Oh yeah. Yeah. We must go. Imagine what we've been through in that contraption. Living with people who doesn't know their left from their right. Living with people who doesn't reason like human beings. Living with people who doesn't know the value of life. Living with people who doesn't respect the rules of law. Living with people who destroy the future of their children. Living with people who keep on going backwards today. Reason with me if we are.
This is Rose Ama. The agitation for Biafra's freedom did not begin today and may not end today. Like the Israelites, whom Biafrans, a lot of Biafrans invoke, and who wandered through the desert for 40 years, we are wandering through our own desert. Will it take 40 years? Perhaps more. More than 50 years after the Biafra War of Separation, and despite Nigeria's promise to work towards peace, the attainment of peace and equality for our people remains an illusion. Fellow Biafrans, we now have come to the end of our program for this year. It has not been an easy task to cover Biafra's struggle for freedom and survival, and to serve as witness to the continued saga of Biafra's search for peace and autonomy. Our collective journey has not been easy either, but we must do it. We must undertake this journey. BCB, therefore, must serve as Biafra's Ogene or Ekwe on this journey for self-realization. We must do it because it is about our survival. We must do it because we must tell our own stories, speaking out, shouting out our liberation and our struggle as well. We must fight for our rights. We must do this battle for our humanity. And if we are to survive as people, we must respond to the call to rescue ourselves from extermination and from silence. We use this opportunity, Biafrans, to remember those whom we lost this year, and to remind ourselves of why we fight. May the universe, our ancestors, and gods protect us all, grant us the peace we seek and the security we deserve, but especially the freedom that has been promised to us, granted to us because of our own humanity. My people, I wish you happy holidays and peace in the coming year and in the future. This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Peace. Of Biafra. Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
You are You're my promoter, you're my defender. You are the living God. Oh, and there's no one like you. You are the living God. Oh, and there's no one like you. Hail to Biafra, consecrated nation. Oh, Fatherland, this we must only pledge. Defending thee shall be our dedication. Spilling our blood will count a privilege. The waving stands and reachable is the free shall always be a flag of liberty. We shall emerge triumphant from this ordeal, and through the crucible unscathed will pass. When we are poised, the wounds of battle to heal, we shall remember those who died in mass. Then shall our trumpets peal the glorious song of victory. We score, oh mighty rock. Oh God, protect us from the heathen pitfall. Guide all our movements, lest we go astray. Give us the strength to heed the hill that is called, to give and not to count the cost each day. Bless those who rule to